So I've been thinking about numerology and angel numbers and the meanings behind angel numbers because a lot of people on social media talk about angel numbers. And I have some questions or ideas and thoughts about angel numbers. Are they real? Do they actually have meanings? And if they have meanings, are they set in stone? We'll talk about it on Third Eyesight. My name is Juan Francisco, and I'm a psychic medium and tarot card reader. I've always been curious about the supernatural, the paranormal, and psychic abilities, and I'm here to share my stories and interview folks who want to share their own stories with us. Let's get to it. So first things first, I want to celebrate something that I'm happy about. So I have registered for an LLC in the United States that's a limited liability company. So I'm officially a business as a psychic medium, which is awesome. And those of you who are very close to me know that I have opened or registered for a business before for public relations as a freelance publicist. And I've gotten rid of that because I just don't see my life going that direction as an individual publicist, freelance publicist. But I do see myself running a business as a psychic medium, and I already do it. But to register it officially, it adds that extra layer of protection, and it's just a big deal. It's a big deal. I registered for my business as a psychic medium back in July 2023, just like several months ago. But I just got the certificate or the official letter from New York State in the mail, which is great. I'm so excited. Anyways, got that out of the way. Let's get to today's topic. And it might be a little bit spicy. And while I'm talking to you and introducing the topic, I'm going to bring up my Instagram account where my broadcast channel is. And, can't do it online. I guess Instagram is still figuring out the web version of their platform. So I'm going to go on my phone right now because I did a poll of a few of my followers who, well, not a few, it was quite a few followers who are part of my broadcast channel. So if you're not part of my broadcast channel on Instagram, it's called the Third Eye Broadcast Channel. You can join it. You don't have to pay to join it. It's exclusive in the way that you get to hear from me directly in DMs, so to speak, in this broadcast channel. And I ask you some questions. I ask for your input on things from what color should I wear for my next set of reels on Instagram to what do you think of this topic? What's your opinion on this topic? So I asked everybody, what's your take on numerology and angel numbers? And here are the three options. I believe numbers have meanings. I'm not really sure. I don't believe numbers have meanings. Now, out of, 17, 6, out of the 23 people who responded to this poll, 17 out of 23 people said, I believe numbers have meanings. 222, 333, 444. And then the rest of the 23 people, that's 6 other people, they said, I'm not really sure. Now, 23 people is not a whole lot of people. It's not like this survey I got to publish somewhere on the news. But 23 people, it's a good number of people to ask, right? Nobody said that they don't believe that numbers have meanings. So 17 out of 23, I can't do the math in terms of percentage, but 17 out of 23 people said they do believe numbers have meanings, which I find super interesting. And I think with social media, especially Instagram, how visual Instagram is, you see a lot of, if you see 222, if you see 333, numbers are a very visual, they're mathematical and they can be, they can really help us tap into that analytical part of our brain, numbers, But there's something visual about numbers, the way they're typed or written, and people often refer to numerology and numbers on Instagram because of that visual element. So it's not surprising to me, number one, that numerology has seen an uptick in popularity because of social media and things like Instagram. And I also believe, on the other hand, people are becoming more aware of what is possible on the esoteric, philosophical level and the spiritual level of things, right? So I wanted to take this podcast episode as an opportunity to explore this a little more because I have had I've been exploring my own feeling and opinion on numerology and angel numbers. And this episode, I'm just going to say it up front, it might ruffle some feathers, and I'm prepared for that. But see, I'm here to ask all the questions. I'm not here to just, like, I'm a big question asker. I grew up, not to get too serious right now, but I grew up in the closet as a gay kid. And I grew up hearing about stories of spiritual apparitions. And I went to one school, I went to two schools, where one school, being gay was okay, but don't act on it. The other school was you're gay, you go to hell, for the most part. In both schools, seeing spiritual apparitions of people was like not talked about. In one of those schools, it just wasn't possible. You can't see your deceased grandfather after he dies. There's something wrong with you, or something wrong with his soul if you see him after he dies. In the Catholic school, it was like, yeah, those things happen. We just won't talk about it because we don't know what to say about it. You know, I don't know. It was very vague and up in the air. So growing up in those environments where I believed in these things or felt these things that felt so true to me or to my family, it made me want to question people that were teaching me how to live my life, teaching me math, teaching me science, teaching me religion. I wanted to ask all the questions. So not to get on this huge soapbox right now, and I'm not trying to build this hype up for this episode like this is going to be some great philosophical episode. However, I want to preface this episode with saying I like to ask all the questions. I am not ready to just believe everything that I see or am told. And I think it's important to ask those questions. It's good to be a little skeptical. It's healthy, not good or bad. I don't want to place a judgment word on it. It's healthy to be a little skeptical, right, Sella? Sella always joins. When I'm talking out loud in the studio that I live in, the studio apartment that I live in, she thinks I'm talking to her because we live alone together. We live just with each other. So she thinks I'm talking to her. Right, baby girl? If she just literally burped, if you heard that, she says, excuse me. Bye, baby. Okay. So let me just give a very quick definition from the Encyclopedia Britannica on numerology. Numerology is the use of numbers to interpret a person's character or to divine the future. The theory behind numerology is based on the Pythagorean idea that all things can be expressed in numerical terms because they are ultimately reducible to numbers. Using a method analogous to that of the Greek and Hebrew alphabets, in which each letter also is represented by a number, modern numerology attaches a series of digits to an inquirer's name and date of birth, and from these purports to divine the person's true nature and prospects. So I am not a numerologist, but I will tell you that, well, I just read you a definition based on an encyclopedia, but I have had a numerological related reading. So when I got an astrology reading once or twice during 2020, 2019, I think, the astrologer actually was an astrologer who gave me reading once, and the other time was a psychic medium who did numerology plus mediumship in one reading, which is really interesting. And in both instances, they looked at the year I was born, what age I am right now, I think, somehow, and my date of birth, the time I was born, and somehow they came up with like my life path number, which I think is a 3. I'm not sure, but 3 is supposed to be a good number. But also with each year, so in 2020, I had a specific number for that year, for 2021, 2022, 2023. What I do remember, I need to listen back to the recording and look at my notes that I took from one of those readings, or during one of those readings. They said that 2022 one of them said it was going to be a very busy year at the beginning of 2022. And I always remember that because when 2022 came around, I did get busier because I had, or was it 2023? One of the two. I got really busy in the last year and a half. That's all I got to say. A lot happened at my 9-to-5 job. I started doing becoming a little more involved in terms of the psychic mediumship development realm of things. And so maybe there's something to all this. And they determined that that year, or whatever year it was, 22 or 23, was going to get busier for me based on both what they felt intuitively and also a number that was connected to that year in my reading that they were seeing. So there must be some truth to it, because that's exactly what happened in the last year and a half. Things felt busier in a really good way. And the psychic, I remember, told me that he saw a lot of like a pile of paperwork on a desk. And this, he was understanding this number based on some math that he did, this number that was coinciding with that year. Okay. Now I'm going to switch to an article by Allure where they list the different angel numbers and what each one means. So they're usually in a series of, it's a repetitive number in a series of 3 or 4. So 111 or 1111, 222 or 2222, right? And I'm going to just quickly skim this. Series of zeros, new opportunities, series of ones, manifestation, twos, balance, trust, alignment, threes, an indication of magnetic creativity, 444 or 4444, stabilization, feeling stable. 5 are major changes on the horizon. Series of 6, like 3 sixes or 4 sixes. Well, it says here, although some may fear because of religious associations with the devil or demon figures, within angel numbers, the number 6 is has a supportive, compassionate, empathetic nature, gentleness. Sevens, and I love the number 7. 7 7 is as lucky in angel numbers as it is at the casino, according to this Allure article. It means good fortune, especially finance wise, that could be on the way, monetary opportunities. And we have 2 more. 8, series of 8, one of the most divine numbers in numerology. It says here, could reflect a connection to the spiritual universe in a powerful way. Those who believe in an afterlife may see 8s as a sign that they're receiving supernatural support from loved ones who've crossed on. It's a symbol of infinity. If you put it on its side, number 8 is the infinity sign. 9, the final digit in numerology, a chapter may be coming to an end. It means that a meaningful cycle could come to a close, and you'll soon be beginning a brand new journey. Interesting stuff. So, what I am thinking of right now is the tarot deck. So in the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck, which is what I studied and what I trained myself with as I started to read tarot cards, numerology is definitely a part of it. At least I believe it is. And based on how I studied it, that's what I learned, that the numbers of each card have meaning. So you have the major arcana, which starts at 0. And 0, as it says in this Allure article, it means new opportunities. And the 0 card in the major arcana is the Fool card, which means embarking on something new and trusting that what's going to work will work out. That makes sense. And then the 1 card is the Magician. And in numerology or in angel numbers, that's the manifestation number. And the Magician, what's interesting about the Magician card is that all the suits of the tarot deck are in that 1 card. The swords, the wands, the coins, and oh my goodness, I'm horrible. The cups. There you go. So manifesting all the things, right? I'm already forgetting what the 2 card, the 3 card, the 4 card is. I know there's like Empress, I think the High Priestess. I'm forgetting. See, I can read tarot cards right in front of me, but tell me to memorize what each card is going down the list. I can't do it on the fly. So there's also in the minor arcana, like in the suit of cups, it goes from 1. See, this is where it gets not great. It gets not good. 1 to, I forget what number it ends at, but before you get to the page of cups, for example, I think it's 1 to 9. Ooh, I'm forgetting. But there are numbers associated with each card, just like there are numbers associated with each playing card. In a playing card deck, the tarot card deck has a number for each card, and it works in order. And what's interesting is that, at least with the major arcana, well, the whole tarot card deck is seen as representative of the journey of a person or a soul from beginning to end. Especially with the major arcana, some people look at from 0 to whatever the number is at the end of the major arcana with the final card in that part of the deck. They see the major arcana as indicative, especially that section of the deck, as a journey, someone's journey, moving through the journey. So with the 0 card being the Fool card, you're embarking on a new journey, like the hero's journey, so to speak, right? A saga. Now, all those things, with all those things said and explored out loud with you, I want to now share with you, well, number one, personal experience of angel numbers, and number two, how I feel about the whole angel numbers topic. My personal experience is nothing cataclysmic or life-changing personally has happened for me when I see angel numbers, but when I do see them, I say, thank you, thanks for that sign. And it does make me stop in my tracks or in my day, and I just say thank you, or think how cool. And once in a while, because I think it just looks cool to see 222 on my phone, I'll screenshot it and put up the screenshot on my Instagram stories because it's cool. I don't know. It just feels magical. I like the feeling of seeing an angel number. And I think it's just, I think it's neat. Now, there are other series of numbers that I see that I like to notice that aren't considered angel numbers, but it's like 7-11, right? For some people, 9/11, especially for many folks who live in the United States who either experienced firsthand or who through the news, September 11th, the tragedy of September 11th, 2001, 9/11 has a significance to them because of that, or just the fact that our number to call the police in the United States is 911. People sometimes really take notice of that series of numbers. I don't think there are any others that I can think of, but sometimes there's 101, 202 with a 0 in the middle. I've heard people share things about that, or 212, although that is the original New York City area code, or the largest New York City area code. I love the number 212. Maybe I'm biased because I love New York City, and because I always wanted the area code but couldn't get it. I got the 917 instead. So that's my personal experience, either myself with angel numbers or hearing other people's take on angel numbers or series of numbers that mean something to them. Here's where I'm going to question a little bit. Let's start with this. When we have a year like 2022, people loved seeing the twos in that. Or 2020. I remember I worked at a PR agency, and one of the things we were thinking of using as a hook to get journalists interested in our hotel clients is, can we do something with the number 2020? The year 2020. 2020 vision. Can we do something cute with that and make it a hook for a marketing campaign or some kind of a initiative or campaign for our hotel and travel clients? Now, we know what happened in 2020. A lot of stuff happened. And before I get to my questioning regarding numerology and angel numbers and years, specifically how years work, I'm going to say that with 2020, I find it interesting that in 2019, my company that I worked at that time, we were talking about, 2020 vision. Maybe there's something there, right? 2020 happens, March 2020, I get laid off because of COVID layoffs, and COVID happens, and it's devastating, and it's scary. It was frightening. The racial reckoning happens across the world, and especially in the United States. These horrific murders are brought to light. Sulla is scratching her bed. And so a lot happened in 2020. I'm not laughing at 2020. I'm laughing because she's always making noise, this doggy. So 2020 maybe was a year for getting clear vision of like, what are we dealing with here? What do we need to pay attention to? How are we taking care of each other as a community in different respects in terms of the racial divides or the racism amongst us? Or medically, how are we taking care of each other? How do we take care of each other when there is something that is affecting all of us or one community amongst us? So maybe that was a year of clear vision, of getting clearer with ourselves. I do see it that way. And unfortunately, I wouldn't wish any of what happened in 2020 in terms of how people were harmed or killed. I wouldn't wish that on humanity again. And at the same time, it's like, well, maybe that is the thing that unfortunately made us see things more clearly. And I hope we don't have to go through that again for it to get to that point where we can see things clearly. Anyways, when people look at the numbers in calendar years, I kind of think, well, we live according to, at least in the United States and in many Western countries, we live according to the Gregorian calendar, I think. There are other calendars out there, like the Chinese calendar. I think they're on another whole other year. I have no idea. And I'm part Chinese. I should know this. But like, I think they're on the year 5,000 something. So it's like, well, do these numbers really mean anything if we live according to a calendar while the rest of the world may live according to another calendar year, or a huge population in the world may live in another calendar year? Does it matter? And then when I think of times like 222, 333, 444, well, that's in your time zone. So that's also pretty relative, right? And how about when there was another example I had, and it's escaping me right now. But what I'm trying to say is numbers are symbols made up by humans. I do believe that the spirit world, God, the universe, will use the symbols that we've created to communicate with us. Case in point, when I am doing a mediumship reading and they show me a blue blanket, that can sometimes mean a baby boy or a hospital blanket. For some reason, when I think blue blanket, I think of hospital blankets. Now, God did not create the earth and say, and now I create blue blankets for baby boys. And now I create blue blankets for hospital patients. We associate the color blue and a blanket with a male newborn. Blue is not a male color. Colors do not have genders. Intrinsically are not gendered, right? But because, at least let's say in American culture, because we tend to associate the color blue with a boy, spirit may use that color with me to get me to say something about a baby boy. So the color of the blanket doesn't really matter in the reading. It's about bringing up a baby boy. That's what matters, okay? So if numbers, maybe it works the same way. We create these numbers because that's how we've decided to count things as humans. And also these numbers, they're based on, I think like this Britannica page says, based on Greek and Hebrew alphabets, maybe Arabic alphabets too, I'm not sure. But we created these numbers. And maybe the spirit world and God, they're using these numbers through angel numbers and series of numbers to help share messages with us. And I think I'm going to go back to my question of, when we create something, like, where do we draw the line? I keep saying sorry. Where do we draw the line between everything with numbers being a sign and particular moments with numbers being true signs? Is every time we see 222, is it a sign? Because my skeptical brain thinks, well, it's likely, it's not unlikely that we look at the clock and it happens to be a series of 3 numbers. We have one chance every hour of the day to see that. We have 24 chances to see that. But then here's the other thing. There is no time on the other side. So why would God want to communicate to us through time when they are boundless on the other side? It's timeless. But then I go back to, well, maybe they're thinking, we don't have time over here where we are, but humans, they work with time and physical space. So we're going to show things to humans in the way they can understand. One of them being clocks and time, right? Now, I'm not trying to demystify on purpose just to be a pain in the ass. I'm not trying to demystify numerology and angel numbers just to be a pain. I just find it very interesting that we've taken something, we take something that we humans have created symbolically, numbers. We create this, we create numbers, and then we take numbers and use them to prophesy and to do readings for people or to say that they mean certain things. It's like if I made this pencil. I made this pencil. What does a pencil symbolize? Well, most people use it to write. And some people use it to put between their teeth. Some people put it behind, in between their ear and their head. And this pencil that I'm holding, I'm going to say, you know what? I really believe intuitively that pencils mean financial gain. So whenever you see a pencil, it means financial gain. So how did we come to determine, I'm going to click back to this page, this Allure article, that 222 means balance, trust, and alignment? What if to someone else 11111111 means balance, truth, and alignment? Because maybe visually the number 1 looks more balancing to them. Or 444 is stability. But maybe 888 looks more stable to another person. Maybe this pencil to someone else means creativity. But to me, it means financial gain. Who determines that? And it makes me wonder, did God really think? I can't believe I'm saying that as if I know God. We all know God. You know what I mean. Did God really think, okay, let's say, I'm going to use the Garden of Eden metaphor. I don't believe there was, I believe Earth was a beautiful garden when it was put together, because it was all just so lush, and then we destroy it over time. When God created the earth, and let's say there was a tree, one tree that had 3 apples in it. I don't know, whatever. I'm going to choose apples. 3 apples. And God looked at that tree and said, okay, when I create humans, I'm going to make sure they know that 3 apples or things in threes means magnetic creativity. And one day, a writer for Allure magazine online will report on that. We'll share that with the public. If you heard a vibrate, that's my phone giving emergency notice of a flash flooding in my area. Thankfully, I'm on a higher floor, but there's a lot of rain here in New York City. So hope folks are safe, or we're safe during this flooding on September 29th. So sorry if you heard the vibrate. Back to topic. Did God see 3 apples on a tree and think, I'm going to make sure humans know that means creativity when things are in threes? That's where I get a little bit like, who determined what these numbers mean, right? And so I'm not trying to debunk angel numbers or numerology, but I think it's important to ask, when we create something, when we create a symbol, and then we attribute meaning to that symbol indefinitely, I think it just makes you want to question it a bit. Because I don't think it's about one size fits all. It shouldn't be about one size fits all, or if you see this, it means this. It kind of reminds me, it's not the same thing. It's like, copy and paste this Facebook status or you'll have bad luck for 3 months. Again, it's not the same thing because that's a little more malicious. But with angel numbers, it's like, if you see this, it means this. Well, who determined that? And who had the conversation with the universe about that? Now, I haven't read on how numerology came about. I only read the definition of the word numerology. I don't know the history of numerology. I am seeing here. Oh, I don't actually don't. This page is not helping. Never mind. This web page, I mean. Now, I do believe that each of us develop a symbol library or a signs library with our loved ones and with the other side, with the universe. So to one person, 222 may mean balance and alignment. To the next person, 222 can be an unlucky number. Look at 666. 666 gets a really bad rap because it's been considered the devil's number according to, I think in the Bible, it's the number of the beast, right? In the book of Revelations. What if 666 is an unlucky number to some people in the New Age psychic community? Because that's what we're used to thinking growing up. So it's so relative, right? And yeah, I don't know. I feel like to definitively just say this means this for everybody, something doesn't sit right with me about that. Now, going back to the question that I posed to my broadcast channel folks on Instagram, whether it's like, do I believe that angel numbers or just numbers in general have meanings? Do I not believe it or do I not know? I'm going to be in the camp of I don't know. Because, and I could have phrased the question to my broadcast channel a little more specifically, because saying numbers have meanings, it's a very definitive statement. And I think it assumes that whatever meanings the numbers have, that they are meanings that are permanently set across the board for everybody. So I'm going to say this, and I'm still exploring this topic. I'm still throwing it around in my brain. I think that when it comes to angel numbers, when you see an angel number, I'm going to encourage you, don't be quick to look up the meaning of the angel. Well, I kind of defeated the purpose of that, didn't I? Well, that was for educational purposes and research purposes, reading the Allure article on what each angel number means at the beginning of this podcast. However, don't just stick to what I shared. Don't just stick to what I read. The next time you see a series of numbers and it strikes a chord within you, in that moment, just like sit or stand, whether you're sitting down, standing up, laying down, just be with that feeling for a moment, for a couple seconds, and just feel what comes up for you when you see those numbers. When you see 333, boom, what comes up for you? What topic, what feeling, what emotion, what thought, what visual comes up for you in your head? Just see what comes up. And maybe that for you is what that number or series of number means. How the universe, how your loved ones want to communicate to you through that number. Now, let's talk about how loved ones may use numbers. I do believe that our loved ones on the other side can use numbers to get our attention. And this is another interesting take. If I were to see 888 somewhere, maybe my grandfather pops up in my brain. Now, what if I take that moment and I feel my grandfather, but then I say, let me look up what 888 means. Let me look it up. Ooh, it means, well, it's not a good example, but it has connection. Here it says in Allure, connection to the spiritual universe, receiving supernatural support. Perfect. Great. But let's say the next person, I'm just full of not good examples today. Let's say the next person gets 333 and thinks of their mom. And they just feel like, oh, mom, I feel mom. But then their next thought is, let me look up what 333 means. And then they see that 333 means creativity. Using your talents and abilities. And they're like, wait, but I felt my mom. I mean, I don't resonate with that. So was it my mom? Was it not my mom? I don't know. Go with your gut feeling. Go with your gut feeling. If you get 888 and you feel a loved one and it happens to be, 888, according to Allure.com, means connection to the spiritual universe and the supernatural, that works. It works. But if you get another number and you feel your loved one around you, or you think about them immediately, and you get a number that means changes are coming, I would recommend sticking to the gut feeling you had when you saw that series of numbers or that number. Who did you feel around you? What did you feel? Did you feel when you saw 555? Did you feel something about change? Or did you feel something about creativity at that very moment? If you felt creativity, I wouldn't, in your mind, battle with the online references for angel numbers. I wouldn't change your perspective on it. If you see 555 and you feel creativity in your gut and you think, I really should buy painting supplies today, or I really want to sing a song today, that makes me want to sing a song. Do the song, sing the song, paint the painting, buy the supplies at the arts and crafts store. Don't let something online or in a book doubt that exciting thing you felt, or that what felt exciting, but more than exciting, felt factual and just like a gut feeling. Just go with that gut feeling. It's like when we read tarot or study and then read tarot. I studied tarot based on a guidebook that told me what each card meant. I have not looked at that guidebook in a couple years, and I will not look at that guidebook every time I see a card. And when I see a card that pops up in a reading and I'm not sure what I'm getting, I don't go to the guidebook. I just put it to the side and I come back to that card later in the reading. And something that Hannah McIntyre of Mediumship Matters always says is, when you buy a card deck, I think she was quoting someone else who said this, when you buy a new card deck, oracle deck, tarot card deck, she says, throw away the guidebook or just put it to the side. And I wouldn't throw it away, but I think putting it to the side may be a really interesting exercise in practicing your intuition as you're using a card deck. Because our intuition is stronger than any guidebook written by another human being. We grow up in a culture, many of us, in which we are told to follow the guidance of other people in a religion, to read a book written by other people for a religion. And then a lot of us are like, well, okay, the Bible, it has a lot of wisdom, but it doesn't resonate with me. So I'm going to go my own way. Take some things from the Bible that I like and appreciate, but go my own way. Why are we preaching the written word when it comes to numerology, angel numbers, and things like that? Why are we preaching the written word? Why are we so married to the written word and what other people say about all the things? And look, if someone talks about angel numbers or things like that, and what they say really resonates with you, that's the thing. It has to resonate with you, and it has to resonate with you in your gut feeling. If it feels right to you, keep following that person. Keep liking their content. Keep digesting and consuming their content. Keep reading the books. Keep looking at the blog posts. Keep doing it. It has to feel right to you. But what I start to question is, if it feels right to you, I wouldn't then go out to other people and say, here's what's right for me, and I know it's right for you too. Or here's what I've learned, and I think it's the truth. I know that 555 means changes could be on the horizon, and that's what it means for you too. I don't think there's anything wrong with sharing this wisdom or these insights of other people, but also leave space for people to explore on their own what these things could mean to them. Because like I said, I could see 222, and I think of my grandfather. And then I start to also think, well, what does 222 mean in numerology? Balance, trust, and alignment. Well, I was thinking about my grandfather. I wasn't thinking of my job, or I wasn't thinking of my relationship, or I wasn't thinking of trusting in spirit or trusting in my grandfather. I just put my grandfather and his love for me. And what if I were to then be like, well, I guess it wasn't my grandfather. Maybe I just need to focus on balance in my life. Doesn't mean focusing on balance is a bad thing, but maybe we're disregarding the presence of spirit because we're so stuck to what someone else wrote about 222. I'm so curious to hear all of your thoughts because angel numbers are so popular, like I said at the beginning, especially on things like Instagram, a very visual social media platform where people can do so many cool things visually with angel numbers and graphics and videos. And one of my good friends posts a lot about angel numbers. And I don't think there's anything wrong with her or with any other person on Instagram posting, if you see 111 today, it means this. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's not immoral. I just really want people to embrace thinking the following way. This person tells me this means this, and that's really wonderful to know. And I'm going to see how I feel when I see 111. I'm going to see how I feel when I see 7-Eleven, the gas station in the US. When I see 7-Eleven, I think slushies. And I don't like slushies. I'm just joking. So I leave you with this. Read all the things that you can read. I mean, look, I've read books written by mediums. I'm currently reading a book written by a medium. And my own mentor told me, read this book. It's amazing. And whatever doesn't resonate with you, just, it's okay. Leave it there. Take what resonates with you. That's how it should work. And with angel numbers, I think it's very easy with things that are written down and drawn like numbers, these visual symbols. It's easy to attribute definitive meanings to these symbols, but those symbols can mean something different person to person. Another really good example of how this functions or how this works in humanity, human cultures. I don't know what I'm talking about. The color black roses, black flowers, and white flowers. From what I remember learning in college in an intercultural communications class, white flowers in Japan are flowers for funerals. White flowers in the US may be used at weddings. And I believe that in Japan, traditionally, black is used at weddings. So if I'm doing a reading for somebody, oh, this is a really good, okay, I got to pat myself on the back for this. This is a really good example. If I'm doing a reading for somebody who is of a culture that's not my own, and I tell them I'm seeing a white rose. Did you recently get married? And what if they look shocked, like, white rose? Oh my goodness. That isn't that a bad thing? Or doesn't that mean death? I go, no, I'm seeing a white rose. It means you got married. So who's right? Is spirit wrong? Am I wrong? Is the client wrong? I haven't come across that yet, but I think that's really interesting. If spirit were to show me a white flower or a white rose, and I feel like someone got married, I would say that I would trust spirit in that they're telling me that someone got married. It doesn't mean we're discrediting the person's culture and how they associate with the color white. I'm going to break it down this way. Spirit shows me a white flower. I tell the person I see a white flower. Did someone get married? The client may get a little nervous if they're from a culture where the color white means death. But it doesn't mean that someone, let's say someone in their life did just get married, but they're focused on the color white and the flower. And so they start to feel nervous, and rightfully so, because I'm sharing something with them that in their culture means something totally opposite to a happy day of celebration. So it doesn't mean that spirit is wrong in bringing up that symbol, because spirit is bringing up that symbol for me, the reader, because in my head, I have associated a white flower with a wedding based on how I was brought up. The white, just like what I said about the blue blanket, it's not the white flower that matters the most in the reading. It's the notion that someone got married. It's not the blue blanket that matters the most. It's the fact that a new baby boy was born. So the client may have had a sister that just got married, but because I brought up a white flower, and this is where it gets tricky, because I like to say out loud the symbols that I'm getting. Because if I say a symbol out loud, it gives me space to interpret out loud with the person, and also space for the client to correct me if I interpreted a symbol wrong. So it can go different ways with a white flower. I see a white flower. Does someone get married? And they say, oh, someone did just get married, but we also just had a funeral. And in my culture, a white flower means death. Is what we use at a funeral, a white flower. On the other hand, it could also go this way. I see a white flower. Does someone just get married? A white flower. Oh my gosh. Is someone going to die, or did someone die? I didn't know that they died. Do you have news to share with me about someone's death? It can go many different ways. And I think I should do another episode on this, because I think what's important for me to do as a reader is to be conscious of those cultural differences and talk through them with a client, not in a way that disregards their culture and how they associate with different colors and symbols differently than my culture does. It's not to disregard them or discredit them, but to work through them and tell them, well, this is what I'm seeing. And if spirit brings a white flower to me, we need to talk about a wedding. If for you that symbolizes death, then let's talk about this further. Let's talk first, did someone get married? Let's not get hung up on the symbol. Did someone get married? I don't know. I haven't come across that yet. But similar to angel numbers, if I bring up an angel number in a reading, which I don't ever bring up angel numbers in a reading, but if I ask a client, do you see angel numbers? And they say yes. And I tell them, well, I feel like your grandfather is sending you angel numbers. And they say, oh my gosh, yes, I do feel my grandfather when I see them. And I always say hello. Great. If they tell me, I don't feel my grandfather when I see angel numbers, that's fine too. Maybe there was a reason. Maybe that was to tell them it actually is their grandfather. Or in another situation, it could be like, if I bring up angel numbers to them, like, do you see angel numbers? They say yes. And they tell me, oh, when I see angel numbers, I get so excited. It really inspires me in my day. And I could be the reader that says, oh, well, when I see angel numbers in a reading, when I bring up angel numbers, it means they're always warning signs, which they're not. I'm just making that up. Then I'm all of a sudden making the client doubt what they're receiving, right? And so it's not about I'm right, they're wrong, they're right, I'm wrong. It's about what is going to help the client move forward in their life. Same thing with the white rose. I'm not going to argue with the client about what a white rose means to me and them, because what matters is not the angel numbers. It matters that they know that their grandfather is around them. What matters is not the white rose. What matters is the validation of someone getting married recently. Spirit will use whatever symbol that they need to use to communicate an idea or a feeling to the reader and to the client. But symbols are just what they are. They're symbols. They're like triggers, or they're signs. It's like when you are on a road trip, you need the signs to get to where you're going, right? But even without the signs, you could find your way there. It may take a little longer. So with symbols, the symbols help us get to where we're going in a reading, but the symbols don't matter as much as the path or the destination that the reading is going in. Does that make sense? I'm talking a lot. I'm going in circles, but I'm really curious for all of your ideas. This is literally me thinking out loud, and I wonder if any of you are snoring by this point. But if you have any ideas on what I said or any comments or thoughts, I totally welcome them. leave a review, leave a comment on the social media post that I put up for this episode. And one more note, I made a mistake. So for my broadcast channel folks, I asked you all for spooky season in October, which spooky season episode do you want to hear first? And one of the options I put was my experience in Salem, Massachusetts. And for those who are not based in the United States, Salem, Massachusetts, in the northeastern part of the United States, is where the Salem witch trials happened. And the play The Crucible by Arthur Miller, it's based on the Salem witch trials. There's a lot of history there. I'm going to Salem very soon. But I added that as an option for the first episode, if people want to hear it first, for October 4th, Wednesday, October 4th, which is when this episode that I'm speaking on now is coming out. And I didn't realize, well, if I were to publish an episode on Salem on October 4th, I will have not been to Salem yet. So, because my trip to Salem is on the weekend of the first week of October. So how can I record a podcast on Salem if the trip hadn't happened yet? So this is what I'm going to do, and I apologize for confusing y'all. This is the first episode, the one I'm talking in right now to you. This is the first episode in October 2023, and I'm going to release a bonus episode in between now and next Wednesday. Focus on my day trip to Salem. So I'm going to publish it sometime in between because I want to honor having the first episode of Spooky Season in October be my trip to Salem. And I'm double checking my broadcast channel, that poll, because I believe that Salem episode, that option, it's still the top voted. Yep. 10 people voted to hear about my Salem experience. So I'm going to make sure I go to Salem first before I record it, and I'm going to make it a bonus episode because I want to honor the fact that you want that to be one of the first episodes. If not the first episode, I'm so sorry. If not the first episode, then the second to first episode as a bonus episode that you hear for Spooky Season. I also have some other exciting interviews coming up and episodes coming up, and possibly an exciting event in New York that I alluded to in my last episode. I will share details as that gets solidified, but there may be an opportunity for you to see me do readings live in a group in New York City in October. If you happen to be in New York, keep that in mind. I will let you know the date if it gets solidified. I'll see you on the next episode. Bye. If you have a question or topic you want me to cover on Third Eyesight, head to my website, juanfranciscospirit.com/contact, and send a message my way. If you really enjoyed this episode, leave a review wherever you listen. I'd really appreciate it.